Well, hey, podcast listeners, it's TJ.
And Julie.
And in episode 71 of the Pixar Post podcast, we're going to talk about Toy Story 4's big Oscar win at the 92nd Annual Academy Awards. We're going to talk about some Onward news, as well as some other fun things that are happening at Disney parks related to Onward. We're going to also share, we're very excited about this, our interview with Valerie LaPointe and Marc Sondheimer, the director and producer behind Lamp Life, the wonderful Pixar short that takes place right after Toy Story 4.
That's available now on Disney Plus.
Excellent, yes.
Excellent, yes.
So you have created a Pixar trivia question today because you worked up the show notes for this particular episode, and I did not have one, so...
Yes, I did. And pardon my voice because I have a cold, so I may sound a little silly tonight.
We'll get through it. So did you want to... Do you know the question?
Oh, yeah, I know the question. Okay. I know the answer. So you read it.
Oh, okay. All right.
You read it for yourself.
So, how many Pixar films have had their theatrical release in the month of March?
Do you know the answer?
Yeah, 0 until this one.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a trick question.
Well, it's not yet.
Not yet.
But yes, Onward is the first March release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that when I was like looking at things and I'm just like, oh, I forgot the...
Yeah, they've always followed the standard
I knew you were going to get that one.
Yeah.
Man.
Try to trick me.
I thought I was going to stump you maybe a little.
Try to trick me with something so easy.
I know.
Yeah, it's, they've always followed the standard June and November for like summer, the Thanksgiving, Christmas kickoff kind of holidays time frame that have always been big for the box office.
Right.
So, all right, next time. Try to get a really hard one.
Well, sometimes I think of things that are like, how many of this and this were in this particular scene?
Those are fun because, people that are listening are like, what the heck? How would anybody ever know that? So sometimes you just get little things out of that. But yeah, those are like almost impossible.
Or like a random person who voiced a certain character that you would...
That would be hard.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be my next one.
All right. Yeah, that would be a hard one. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's talk about Toy Story 4, hey?
Oh, yeah.
So they got, as far as the award season,
The Oscars were last night.
Yeah, and so this is Monday night that we're recording this on...
The 10th, February 10th.
Yeah, and it was...
Oh, yeah, I know when the Oscars are. That's my Super Bowl. Or February 9th.
February 9th, absolutely. And although Pixar and Toy Story didn't win a bunch of the others, as far as the Golden Globes went to Missing Link, and the Annie Award went to Klaus.
And then the BAFTA went to Klaus.
Yeah, wait, maybe the Annie Award was...
I can't
remember
the
100%
award.
either, but... yeah, it was a big deal that Toy Story 4...
Yeah, now Toy Story 4 has been, winning a ton of other awards. They've won numerous ones, like VES, they were winning stuff. They won, like, the producer,
Which is the Visual Effects Society Awards,
yes,
the Producers Guild.
Production.
The writing. Yeah, they've won a lot of other individual awards, but, to have such a tight race is exciting when you're talking about animated films because there's been a lot of great ones.
But you think of the top three as being the Oscars, the BAFTAs, and
the Golden Globes. Absolutely.
And all three are different.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I should have looked into that today, but I don't remember them ever being so different.
Ooh, that would be a fun thing to know.
Yeah. I think I'm going to look into that when we get off the podcast.
Sounds like a good one.
But yeah, I honestly, I was like, oh man, when they were reading it, and it was the second award of the night.
Which is, the second televised one was crazy having it so early.
Yeah, which
I
loved.
They did a short right after it.
Yeah,
they did animated short film right after it. Which Hair Love won that one. Kit Bull was up for it.
Yeah.
And Hair Love was a great short. It had, Pixarians that were involved with it kind of off on the side.
Yeah, definitely well deserved.
Yeah, it was a great short.
But when they were calling, because I was nervous, because I was like, oh man, because Toy Story, they didn't win the other big two. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? Is it going to go to Missing Link? Is it going to go to Klaus? Like I don't know. But when I heard the cheers, when Mindy Kaling said Toy Story 4, I was like, oh no, it's going to be Toy Story 4. When I looked at you, because we were watching it together, I was like, it's going to be Toy Story 4. Get the computer. And it was.
Yeah. And then we worked quickly. I ran upstairs, got a screenshot of the people that accepted the award that came up on stage were, of course, director Josh Cooley and then producers Jonas Rivera and Mark Nielsen. They if you want to see transcriptions of their acceptance speeches, go ahead and check it out on our website. Of course, with anything that we're talking about, you can always go to pixarpost.com, click on the podcast button, and this is, again, episode 71. So you can see links to all the different things that we're talking about. But yeah, their acceptance speeches were very nice. It was, to be expected as far as, thanking the cast and the crew, or the crew that worked on the film at Pixar.
Thanking their wives, their families, their parents, their kids.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And what I thought was really cool is when they were doing their backstage interviews with like additional press, they told Jonas Rivera, they said, do you know that you are the first U.S. born Latino who has won multiple Oscars?
Who did the numbers on that?
But still, that's a cool statistic. I was like, good for him, because he won for
Up.
Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah. Who knew? I don't think he knew.
Yeah, I know.
So that's kind of cool. But let's see. So you had written that down too. But that's exciting. I mean, it's always great to get the recognition, especially when it is, you mentioned that it's different for each one. One of the other things I had thought about is that it's cool that all these films got to be recognized at different venues. So at some level, they all kind of won. I know that's a very hippie thing to say or whatever, but it's nice that so many
that is like a very me
to
thing to say.
Yeah.
They are all winning.
Yeah. But when it comes to animated films, it's always hard to pick a winner because there's so much good work that's put out. And
it was a really good year for animation.
I was probably only surprised that Frozen 2 or How to Train Your Dragon didn't really. And I guess it was probably just because, we've talked about it on here
Frozen
before.
2 didn't receive a nomination for the Oscars.
Overall,
but overall,
like as far as like all the, sorry, I should have been more clear on that. But,
I kind of knew what you were saying, but it just.
But yeah, it's interesting, like, that. Now I got derailed.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, whatever. But it's nice that everybody got to win, to get to celebrate it. Oh, and then what I was going to say is we were talking about the fact that we've talked about it on here before. That's where I was. That a lot of times the award shows don't favor sequels. Yeah, so that really is demonstrated with Missing Link and Klaus winning, and then obviously it's a even more pleasant surprise that Toy Story 4 ended up winning this. So it's really cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's keep going on with the news. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so from an Onward perspective, so Pixar lighting artist Phil Shoebottom shared a photo inside Pixar Studios that you had seen on his story on Instagram, and you were like, this is amazing.
Freaked out. I took a screenshot of it right away. It is Ian and Barley Lightfoot dressed up as their costumed characters that they'll be strolling around the Disney parks.
So it's the parks characters.
The parks characters.
Yeah, and so
they look amazing. Do they not? Like, it looks incredible.
100%. I feel like Bo was the first one that kind of took it to the next level.
No, because Joy and Sadness look really good too.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Joy and Sadness are really good too. They didn't do any Coco once. They just did the puppetry for Coco.
Right, which was cool too, because I really like that was different, mm-hmm. And it also
the Incredibles look good too, but they've been around for a while.
But the Incredibles still don't look as good. Like Joy and Sadness, and now Ian and Barley, like they are precise to the character. Yeah. Bo Peep has a little bit of a more rounded, wider face, mm-hmm. obviously to accommodate who's wearing the outfit.
And Ian's face is a little wider.
Right.
A touch. It still is very...
It has to be. Somebody's going to put it over their head.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is phenomenal.
Yeah, they look absolutely great.
Oh, my gosh. I was like, oh, my goodness. I'm getting all these signs that we need to send, book a Disney trip.
Yeah.
I just need you to give me the go.
You're not going to get the go.
I had it planned.
So you were also saying that, you thought that there's not like 100% timeline of when they'll be in the parks, but you're anticipating.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that it's going to be on or around the March 6th release of the film.
For the film. I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
But there's been no confirmation from Disney. It hasn't been. Usually it's announced on Disney Parks blog first.
They didn't with Bo Peep.
They didn't with Bo Peep. It was that Bo Peep went to the studio first, and then it was announced that she would be greeting
at the cruise.
Right. At the San Francisco.
So people that were coming off the cruise.
Yeah, and then it was announced that she was going to be in the parks. But Disney Parks blog still was the first one to announce that after she was at Pixar.
Right.
But that's the only photo I've seen.
Oh, for sure.
Was from Phil Shoebottom. Nobody else took pictures. I was really hesitant. I was like, can I share this?
Yeah.
But I was like, we have to share. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And it's a really, really great looking set of characters. It'll be interesting to see if they become one of those rare ones. Like, will they be the white rabbit?
Like Moana. Moana only comes out during the Halloween party at Disney World.
Oh, really?
That's the only time you can ever meet Moana. Now, it may change because Epcot is changing and she'll have
Oh, that's true.
a featured attraction,
Right.
like the water. But Moana, you can. Oh, that's why we waited 2 hours for Leo to meet her.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because she only comes out during the Mickey's Not So Scary
Like you
Halloween
said, at least
party.
currently. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh, the things you know.
But no, I do think they're going to be like Joy and Sadness, where they're going to have like a spot. Kind of like Baymax has a spot
Yeah.
within Epcot.
Right.
I hope they're probably going to be at Hollywood Studios because Mike and Sully just left.
Ugh.
So I bet that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the Walt's dream.
That's a good thought.
That's not a thought. That's a prediction.
Okay. Okay.
That's where they'll be. Mark
right.
my words.
Fantastic. All right. So speaking of Onward, so Guinevere the van, so Barley's trusty steed that he created in the film, is going to making its way around the United States. So if you've heard us talk about this before, there was the Toy Story 4 RV that came around. Mm-hmm. There was also the Cars 3 Road to the Races tour that brought a life-size Lightning McQueen, Jackson Storm, and Cruz Ramirez around. Well, this time the Guinevere van is going to be coming around, and it is. You saw it in person. So
yes,
what did you think about it?
It's amazing. I saw it at the studio. Now it's the same Guinevere van that was at the D23 Expo. So if you were just at this past year's D23 Expo,
Yep.
That's the same van. It's just making rounds. And it sounds like we had a friend who went to one of the Arizona stops. It sounds like there's like games that you can win prizes. Very similar to the Toy Story 4 RV tour.
Right.
You can win like stickers and movie tickets and
Yes, and then they had a couple different
like shirts
like
or bags
posters.
or something. Yeah.
Well, I saw the bag. I haven't seen anybody other than outside of California that has had the shirts yet. Now, granted,
Okay.
the van has only stopped in San Diego and Arizona. Like I don't remember exactly which area, but those are the two that they have already stopped in. What's interesting is that the Toy Story tour, they announced a whole bunch of dates up front. This has been much quieter as far as like just coming to the specific area, and then all of a sudden it seems to be popping up. So it'll be interesting to see where it comes next. But I've literally been like Googling it every day, doing like the defined search to look at a specific time frame, like within the last 24 hours, looking for Guinevere or Pixar van or Onward.
I've thought about it if it's going to be at the screening that we're going to be at.
Oh, I thought about that too. Yeah, is it going to be in Detroit for that? Because there's a charity screening that's taking place in Michigan, because Dan Scanlon, the director of Onward, is from Michigan. So there's going to be a screening here. So we're thinking definitely along the same lines
Maybe,
that it
might.
But I kind of wonder based on the weather, because they already mentioned other places that they were going to be going were, well, you're right.
Well, it was Dallas, Miami.
I was thinking Dallas, Miami, like maybe they're just going to go along the south because it's an outdoor event.
Yeah.
And it would be really hard to predict the weather, but they also said New York.
Oh, yeah.
And that's obviously
Unless they
cold
could
as
get
well.
it inside somewhere.
Oh, that's true.
You know, kind of like the Hello Kitty food truck that came here during the winter.
Right.
It came
but they had it
inside one of the
inside.
malls.
Right. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if that shows up in more places. But when you got to walk around it, it was really cool. One of my favorite things is the mixtapes that they made on the dashboard. Now, something interesting too is when you were seeing it at the studio, it kind of makes me wonder, in some small way, are there two of these, or is there only one? Because when our friend Mark Vibert went to go see it in Arizona, he pointed out that the KNR rock or sticker or whatever, it's in the lower right-hand corner of the back bumper sticker is ripped, and it's almost completely torn off. So either it got, damaged at some point, or somebody tried to take it off. If that was the case, that would really stink. But, so he showed us a picture. It's definitely missing, and the full bumper sticker is there when you took your video of it. And by the way, I should also mention, if you guys want to not only keep up to date with the tour dates, because as they get updated, we're going to update our post. But then Julie also did, when she was, like she mentioned, at the studio, a full walk around video of Guinevere. So she kind of like walked real close to some of the different lights and the bumpers and the stickers and all the details, the front like
rope
emblem
being tied up to the
the rope showing that they're tied up. The one thing I wanted to know is there's a switch on the front bumper, like the front bumper, I don't know how else to say it, on the passenger side.
Okay.
And in the video, as you're panning around it, there's a little switch behind the bumper or something that says on, off.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
What is that?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's like a thing. I don't know if that's like was already there, or if that's like the lights can be turned on from the outside.
Oh,
if for some reason, because they don't want people coming in. If it's like a nighttime event, maybe like a worker could go over there and turn.
Maybe.
I don't know. But it just made me wonder when I saw that on there. I was like, ooh, what's that?
I think we have someone we could probably ask.
Well, of course, but I don't know if it's worth finding. It's the curiosity. So that's pretty cool that's going around there like they've done for the other movies. So it'll be.
I do like that they do these like tours where
it's fun.
Bring like the characters or like a van, and I just kind of like it. Well,
it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that Jay Ward, who's the Cars guy, is into getting out there and showing the products of what's there, and he was involved obviously with the Cars Road to the Races tour. And what was super cool about that one is that the Lightning McQueen, Cruise, and Jackson are the only ones that are true life-size
replicas.
They're built to the actual size that Lightning McQueen is. The ones in the parks are slightly smaller. They said they had to change some of the distances between like the tires and different angles. They said that it's kind of funny to test it. They take like a fake children's head on a stick, and they poke it around the car to see if it could get stuck anywhere. And I guess this is like for anything around the parks, that they want to make sure that a kid cannot harm themselves or get under or around or anything like that. So they had
That's why Lightning McQueen, all those characters ride low.
Well, they already do because they're race cars, but Mater's definitely lower than he would be. And the fact that they have like 7 workers are walking around them the whole time, and they only go like 2 miles an hour. But still
like all those things you have to think about.
Oh, absolutely. So the ones that were on the Road to the Races tour are the only ones that are the full scale versions that are out there. Pretty cool stuff.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we talked about that when we were at that dinner with all of them when they were at the auto show.
Memories.
The time that we were doing our live hangout and we're with them, like looking at each other, like we had for the trailer that was coming out for Cars 3. We're like looking at it came out that same night. We were watching it with them on the TV.
That was
in
a
a
cool
restaurant.
Experience.
It was amazing.
Bob Polly.
Yeah.
I mean, like these people that we're like
idolizing.
Yes.
Yeah. But as we're like watching like this, we're looking at the clock and we're like, ooh, do we have to say we have to go, or do we just not go? We're like, yeah, we're definitely not going.
Not going.
But we had a live hangout that night on YouTube to talk about the trailer. So we were late for that. So if you go back to that, you'll see that that's why we say we're late, because we were out to dinner with some of the Pixar folks after the auto show. But all right, let's talk some other parks stuff. So back to that. So for annual pass holders, and then now it's open to the public, but they're doing a preview, which is usually like a 10 to 12, sometimes 15-minute preview of Onward, or from the other movies is what I'm referencing. And you can get a good look at Onward. So if you're around any of the parks, go ahead and check those out. We've seen that some of the screenings, and I think it might have been only for the annual pass holders, though, they gave them a winter hat that said Onward. And it's actually kind of funny because it's the same one that we had shared on our social media page that you got when you were at the studio as like a gift. But it's a slightly different material. The one that they gave out at the parks is more of like
fine knit,
like your like a normal like stretchy like blue hat, but it's the same color, has the same like patch in the same spot. So if you really want to check that out, you can either look at our social media page and go back like a month or whatever, or probably check it out on eBay. I'm sure somebody's got one up there if you want one. It's a very subtle design. It's just like a sewn on little patch that says Onward, but I like the color blue that they chose for it. It's like a nice navy.
Well, it's Barley's hat that he wears. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's see here. With also at the parks coming up March 5th at Disneyland, they're doing a Pixar Nite. So March 5th from 8 p.m. to midnight, there's going to be dance parties. There's going to be a cosplay fashion walk where you can strut your stuff in your costume.
I love that.
I know. They're going to have limited time food options, photo opportunities with backdrops. And I think this is super cool that they're going to have backdrops for a couple different things, but specifically for the Birds and Geri's game.
Wow.
Those are cool backdrops.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So if you're going to go dressed up as something, go as Geri or go as For the Birds.
Yeah.
One of the birds.
Exactly.
Oh. The other thing I thought was cool about this, and I don't know if this is typical to all the nighttime events. It probably is because they just listed it as another thing. But you get digital downloads included in the price of your ticket on the PhotoPass. So any PhotoPass tickets you get, you can download those for free.
So that's cool, but Disneyland does theirs different.
Oh, okay.
Disneyland, you can do that. I think for Disneyland, you can buy like the photos for all day. Where Disney World, you have to buy
the PhotoPass package.
Yes.
Yeah, you can
buy. So Disneyland's different than Disney World.
Right.
With the photo things. But that's cool that it includes it in the price.
Right. Yes. In the price, you get unlimited digital
because
downloads.
Disney World is definitely not like that.
Right. So I thought that was really cool because if you go to these backdrops, if you go to get other group shots with one of their photographers that they have there, then you get these digital downloads, which is always cool.
Oh, yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. They're also going to have, of course, character opportunities. They're going to have, you would expect, Buzz and Woody, which is nice that they're there. I think it's kind of cool, too, that they're going to have Merida, Miguel, which I presume is the puppet form, and then also Flick, which is always good to see Flick from A Bug's Life come out as well. Yeah,
Flick's kind of a rare one.
Yeah.
Definitely. Doug and Carl are kind of a rare one. Right. Remy, Emil.
Carl more than, well,
they're in like parades now, but
that's true.
Russell and Doug, I think, kind of meet.
Right.
I know Russell does. I can't remember if Doug's there all the time at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I don't know if he's there all the time, but I definitely know Russell is. But we were excited to see Doug when we were there.
Yeah.
It's always cool. So let's see. And then there's going to be exclusive merch for the Pixar Nite as well. That's going to be, of course, it would not be Disney if they were not finding an exclusive thing to sell. But they've got a t-shirt and some tumblers that are going to be there as well.
I'm sure it's going to be all Pixar Ball themed. And we need to finish that post about the Pixar Ball because
right.
Just
it's
merchandise everywhere.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like that they have like the shirts and the hats. Like those hats are so cool now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, lots of Pixar Ball, Luxo Ball merch that's out there. You can check it out at the parks or online or whatever you'd like. But also one of our buddies online, Sydney, sent us a message that said that the Onward pins are available now as well in the parks.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to check those out, they're $10 a piece. And they have, there's one for Ian and Barley, and Ian has the staff with the Phoenix Stone, and Barley's like kind of just like running. So I'm sure they'll have many more.
I know. There's going to be a Guinevere pin.
Oh.
Because
they were giving them out at D23.
I know, but there's a version. But there's going to be a Disney Parks version. Those pins are like $16. You know it, and I want it.
It's a piece of metal that sticks in
There'll be a mom one, too. A Blazy one, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The Manticore, 100%.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool one.
Oh, man, do I want to work in the Disney consumer products department?
So let's keep going. So we'll talk about, sorry.
I diverge.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm not meaning that. I just know that,
I would ramble.
You're just stating it. I don't know that there's a whole lot else we would say about it right now.
The cold is having me just talk and ramble.
You got to keep her on track when she's got a cold. She's drifting. So other Onward stuff real quick. So Chris Pratt was quoted recently saying that it's going to make grown men burst into tears. So that's like, a lot of people are like, ooh, it doesn't take anything for me to cry. I cried at Wall-E with the dust.
I know.
So,
I think I'm definitely going to cry, especially with this last teaser that was or the featurette. Yeah. I feel like I know what happens. I'm not going to say it, but I feel like I know. I haven't even told you because I don't want to ruin it because I really think I'm right.
Yeah, we're actually, for like the first time almost in a long time, we're kind of avoiding the final ending.
Yeah, because I don't want to know, but I really think I'm right.
Okay, that's cool. You can't tell me.
I'm not. That's why I don't want to say anything because I'm like 99% sure I'm right.
I'm getting kind of dangerous.
And it's different from how I thought it was going to be. And you knew how I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
No, it's different.
Okay.
I'm 99% sure I'm right.
Well, you also have a little bit of a helper that you were at the studio.
Yeah, but I nothing about the ending.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's concept art.
Nothing about the ending.
Okay. All right. Other events that are coming up. So there's been lots of events that are coming along with the releases. But I thought this was cool too. So the San Francisco Giants every year, the baseball team does a Pixar Day, a Pixar Nite. And on May 29th, they are going to have their themed day. And they usually have like a character meet and greet. They encourage people to dress up in character. They have like special shirts or whatever else that they're going to sell there. But the giveaway for a select number of people that go is one of those fig pins. So it's like a figural pin that is by the company, Fig Pin. And it's of Ian Lightfoot.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and they usually like they've done like a Funko Pop before where it's been Woody as a pitcher for the Giants. So it's really kind of cool.
With the jersey.
Yeah. So it's another thing. So if you're in that area or traveling to that area around the end of May, so May 29th, get your tickets now because that's a game that usually sells out because it's a fun one. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So that about takes us to where we are within the news portion. So as we dive into, before we do our interview, I wanted to circle back on something that we touched on in the interview, but I don't think I'm going to edit it after this. I don't think that part's going to make sense to incorporate into the interview itself. But you had a crazy connection or an odd like life passing thing with Valerie LaPointe, the director of Lamp Life. So again, this is going to be kind of leading into our interview with Valerie and Marc, the director and producer of Lamp Life, the awesome, hilarious, like approximately 7-minute short that's on Disney+. But what is your crazy connection to Valerie?
This is wild. Like, I don't know if you guys are going to think it's crazy, but it had me shook.
Because you think of life. I'm going to tee it up with like a little bit of mystery. So you think of life. You think of everywhere that people can be. And you never know when paths might mysteriously cross.
Yeah.
So how did the conversation start? You asked first about...
Yeah, so I asked Valerie because I had seen on like her bio that she said that she was from Norfolk, Virginia. Well, I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and those are cities right next door. And she's like, oh, well, I did too. She goes, I was like born in Norfolk or something like that. But she goes, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm living, I'm in Michigan now. And she's like, well, obviously I'm in California. She goes, nobody knows what Virginia Beach is.
She's
and I'm
like, yeah, I don't meet anybody from there because it's total coast to coast for her.
Yeah.
Like that's opposite.
And I was
sides.
like, oh, same. And, Detroit, everyone's like, what?
Yeah, there's not a lot of people from Virginia Beach that are specifically
So then she's like, oh, yeah, I went to Tallwood High School. Okay, here is where I freaked out a little. I moved to Detroit because my mom worked for Ford. So we moved to the Motor City right before I was supposed to start high school. That's the high school I would have gone to.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I was like, okay, wait a second. That means like she lived near me.
Right.
Okay, and we're a year apart.
Yeah.
So she was a year older. So then we got talking and I was like, what middle school did you go to? And she was like, I went to Brandon Middle School. And I was like, wait a second. Here's the tea. So did I. We were in middle school at the same time for 2 years. And then, I haven't even told you this.
Oh my God.
I started thinking, okay, my goodness, when I was in 6th grade, which means she was in 7th grade, they had like a Disney World trip where you could go learn about filmmaking out in Disney World. Well, my mom paid like, what it was like, I don't know.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. To take a bus and go down there with certain like students. And I wonder, was she part of that? I don't know. Because she was a year older and like still in middle school, they kind of keep the grades separate.
Yeah, sure.
Like I don't think we had any, elective classes that would have mingled 6th, 7th, or 7th and 8th grades together. I don't remember. I don't remember middle school. But anyway, I thought that was wild.
That is cool. So yeah, immediately following the interview, you ran downstairs, you grabbed your...
Oh yeah, I have all my yearbooks.
And sure enough,
I found her.
There she was.
It was wild. It literally shooketh.
That's a definitely small world thing.
It is a small world thing. I mean, like, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. No, that was pretty
I don't know
cool.
why it's crazy, but it's crazy.
It is one of those things that, like, it's the same thing as when, like, a band comes to town and they're like, "Hello, Detroit," and everybody cheers. It's kind of like one of these, like, hometown things that not only is it, something that you guys are both... She obviously is at Pixar, but we're talking about Pixar.
Yeah, we're talking, but not only that, but like we have been fans of her for so long.
Yes, her style is great. We really connected.
Like just her point of view, she just has like, I don't know. I've always like gravitated towards.
She gets it.
Yeah. And like, I think that's what like had me crazy. Like I went to school with you.
Yeah,
like
right.
you like lived in like the neighborhood of me. Like,
right. Like around
like as
that
kid,
area,
like it's just crazy.
It is wild.
It's weird.
It's
and then
wild.
like,
Cool.
20 plus something years, 30 years later, I'm like, we're talking.
Right.
Like it's weird.
It would have
like
been,
it just.
I think it still would have been weirder if you guys figured out like somehow or another that you were like in some. I know you wouldn't be because of the grades, but in some same class or went to some same event or like you talked about the Disney thing.
It would be weird because somewhere I have the commercial that we filmed when we were at Disney. My mom has it somewhere on a VHS. Yeah, a recycling commercial.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to hold up a Coke can and say, "See this sign? That means it can be recycled." And then I threw it, I think.
Awesome.
Into the recycling can.
Well, I didn't think you just chucked it.
This means recycle. Now litter, kids.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, what do you think? Should we talk about, is there anything we want to say about Lamp Life up front?
Okay. Lamp Life was amazing. Did you not love it?
I loved it.
We were lucky enough to be sent the screener for it. So we watched it, I don't know, like maybe a week or so before it came out.
Right.
We watched it several times. I just wanted,
Oh, absolutely.
like, I wish it was longer, which is good. Because
now we say that meaning you were left wanting more.
More.
Not that we feel like it was incomplete.
No. Yes. I was just wanting more. Like
it was so much fun.
It was perfect. And the pacing was perfect.
Yep.
The gags were hilarious.
Yep.
The Easter eggs are abundant.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really good short. And that's actually
And the story is like flawless. I mean, like it felt so complete.
It did. And I don't know how you tell that short of a story in that amount of time. You're going to hear in the interview, I talk about one of my favorite things is the fact that, even within a 7-minute short, you don't expect that a character is going to learn or see something and then be able to utilize that later. Typically that's in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, so, Woody will see something that Andy is doing that later, or Buzz does, that later he will then come back to and be able to do. It's either a funny gag or whatever. It kind of played out a lot in Toy Story 2 with like Rex, where it's like, hidden in the shadows to the left, like he can't figure out the game. So later he figures out the game and like he's getting the guide. Like there's all these callbacks. Well, it's really cool that in a short film, they were able to fit in the fact that,
they did the passage of time.
She learned something and then was able to utilize it at the end. And then you're right. The passage of time was great. Being able to speed that up and see and understand that you're talking about years here that are going by in a matter of moments.
Yeah.
And then you talked about the pacing. That's one of my favorite things that you'll hear in the interview, as well as talking to Valerie about, some of the gags and stuff and how some of the people that were working on it were like, do you think we should have a couple more frames or here or whatever? And she was like, I tried it. And then I was like, oh no, you got to cut it short. Cause it's really quick cutting at times. And
this is her directorial debut.
Right. Yeah. So it's really cool that, it all came together the way it did. The music that Jake Monaco, who we interviewed 2 episodes ago, on our podcast, he did the music for Forky Asks a Question, a bunch of other Pixar properties that are, commercials and promo materials. But he did a great job with this score as well. So definitely, if you haven't watched it, you can feel free to listen to this. It's, not going to give away that much, but if you haven't, you can feel free to pause it, check it out on Disney Plus, and then circle back and enjoy this interview with Valerie LaPointe, the director, and producer Marc Sondheimer. So one of the things that we've always enjoyed with Pixar films is when you get the in-between stories. Like, what was Doug's special mission when Alpha sends him off from the group? Or what are the other robots doing on the Axiom while Wally and Eve are trying to save the planet? So, and that one was like Bernie. So this is another puzzle piece. So we're connecting a few more dots with Lamp Life on Bo Peep's journey after Toy Story 2. So I know this is a question that you get probably frequently, but it's a good one to round out. But talk about the origins of not only how you were approached, or maybe you even pitched the idea for a Bo-centric short, and then once you got started, how did you land on this particular story?
Yeah, so this might be the perfect Pixar film for you. Because it was a huge puzzle to figure out and to make work. But at the same time, when they offered to me to direct a short coming off of Toy Story 4 as the story supervisor, this was the only thing I wanted to make. I was so excited about Bo. I felt so passionately about making her a dimensional, interesting character in the feature. And then so bummed at the end that we had this great movie, but we didn't, in the length of a feature, we didn't have enough time to really delve into Bo's story more. We only got this glimpse of seeing her again on the lamp, and then we meet back up with her and she's a lost toy. And it's such an extreme difference with a handful of lines for you to mentally try to piece together how she did this, that it felt just like really ripe territory to see it happen. But it was a tough puzzle. Toy Story 4 was tough. Any sequel is always tough because you're kind of building off of what's there and you have limitations built in. And then when you're trying to sandwich an idea in the middle of the timeline of movies, it's even harder. But I was doggedly determined to do it because it just seems so fascinating. And it's tricky because even in the movie, she indicates that she's gone through a lot. And the number of years you have, all of that, it was a little tricky. But I also leaned into the fact that Bo is adventurous. She sort of would choose to go the fun. We always said she would choose to go the fun way than the practical way when they were even just trying to, get across the carnival to go to the antique store. That's her personality, right? So I don't think of her as so much as an exaggerating liar like Mater, as much as a really good storyteller. I have a sister who tends to heighten all of her stories, and they just come out sounding more exciting than maybe it actually happened. And I think of Bo as being like that, and so it was really fun to just lean into that and just turn to a handful of story people here for ideas to help me come up with stuff and be like, okay, what's the craziest thing that could happen to her? And they threw back the most hilarious ideas. Because I just had a one day with Bob Peterson and Austin Madison, Jeff Pigeon, a handful of really funny people here. And then Johan Chang, who was the story lead on Toy Story 4, he was sort of my person I always rely on to help me course correct when I get a little off with the story and double check that it's going. But yeah, and then a lot of it I just kind of leaned into my experience being a mom and having kids of my own, and the reality of what happens to toys in a kid's room, which, not every kid is like Andy and Bonnie and as precious with their toys, and they're not all Sid, but they don't all take care of them necessarily the best. So it was fun to do something different with kids in that sense.
Yeah. Well, we have a 5-year-old, so yes, they're definitely all over the place.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the gag session. That's actually another question that we were going to ask. So it's a perfect tee up for us. So the short balances this fine line of heart and humor, and that the humor just overflows throughout it. So you mentioned some of the folks that you worked with. We loved the white elephant gift exchange and the college party with the black light. But okay, so one of the gags that I got to know about then is the ship. Where did, out of all the crazy ideas, or even if there was like another crazy one that didn't make it in there, what were those like gag story sessions like? And then tell us about the seasick passenger.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember where that one specifically came from. I kept stopping by Jeff Pigeon's office, and I'd be like, okay, so what if this?
Yeah.
And he's the perfect person to just rattle off the most insane ideas with. He's come up with so many funny things in Pixar movies. I just stop by his office, and I'd be like, okay, this happens. Oh, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? And then he would spout off a couple things. And I think that one came about in the stream of just like, and then she's on a boat, and then she went across country, and then and then she went across the globe. And so that one came out in sort of the rant, and then it evolved into just like, just pushing it to the really cartoony level of like, I don't want to see the seasickness. I don't want to see it come out of the character, but hearing it is enough. And it's funny to just like imply these situations and cut away really quick before she's actually in it.
Yes. Yeah, there are Reddit channels that we subscribe to that are all about like the perfect cut time to make a joke funnier, and it's always cutting.
Right.
It's always cutting off the full gag.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. So the other one that we were thinking about too was like the blacklight one. So they're at the college party. There's the black light. She's got the cup over her head and everything.
Yeah.
With that one, like, was there any like technical elements of that? Because like if you think about like a black light, it really looked like a black light. It didn't look like the lighting team just flipped on a switch and put a purple light on, like the Billy Goat and Gruff. It was like the purple light was almost emanating from the eyes or coming out of it, like it really would in a black light.
Right. I mean, Mark probably knows more specifics about how they did that.
It's amazing what computers will do these days. But it was, a key part of that story. And actually, I was thinking through to the music also in the boat session and the blacklight party. It was kind of a fun challenge for us to do musically, to hit all of those beats
right
as quickly as they go.
Oh yeah,
quite a challenge for the composer. But
because we flip between the humor can only play when it's cut at a certain pace, and we discovered that along the way. Because when I started working with animators the first time, I was so excited because I love the acting part of it. They're like, hey, can I have some frames? I'm like, yeah, it's some frames. And then I learned the lesson in directing. When we got back to edit with my editor, I was like, oh, we can't add the frames like that. Just I'm like, I should have known this. I used to animate myself, but the joke can die within a matter of frames.
Yeah.
And then for that one in particular, I do remember with lighting, it was really funny because they did their wizardry of like pulling lights in certain directions, and we kept looking at photos and thinking about the experience, because mostly I just really wanted the sheep and Bo's eyes to be really round and really white so that they popped out. And they were great at just sort of pushing that. And we had to push Bo's CG model to the limit with the animators as far as her facial expressions. I was like, can we make her eyes bigger? Can we make it funnier? Because I wanted to have, Bo be as funny in as funny situations as Buzz and Woody and all the boy toys. It's like she can go through as many silly and crazy experiences as them, and and letting her face do a lot of the humor, give a lot of the humor.
You see why we love you already, because of this. You feel this energy, like I love it. Okay, sorry.
We do too.
Pretty excited about it.
So we really love the title Lamplight because Lamp Life. I'm sorry, because we're partial to alliterations.
Yes, I am as well. Clearly.
Were you always set on the title of Lamp Life, or were there other variations?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because I came up with Lamp Life, and then I think a little halfway in, I kind of turned to Mark and our editor Serena. I was like, should it be called Bo's Story? And we were kind of like. I briefly considered Bo's Story, because Toy Story, Bo's Story. But then I was like, Lamp Life sounds good, because this particular short has a lot to do with like her character arc of kind of letting go of the lamp, like deciding that she didn't need to be this toy attached to a lamp. Like she could just be a toy, and sort of like how the world packaged her as like, you're this thing, and deciding like, actually, I don't have to be attached to that thing. We can just be toys, me and the sheep. So it felt better to tie the title to the lamp.
Yeah, I think that's cool too, because it almost sets it up as, even though Toy Story makes sense to try to, tie in potentially Bo's story, but this makes it more individual to her.
Yes,
and
I
you're
do
right
love
about the
that
lamp.
Bo isn't in the title of it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and also I had to think that like there's a whole other adventure when she left the toy, when she became a lost toy, basically, when she leaves the antique store to when Woody caught up with her, right? And we don't get into that so much. Did I just give something away? Well, it comes out tomorrow.
This won't be released until after it's already out. So.
You're right. And it's only 7 minutes, so I couldn't cram all that in there.
Right. So, Marc, from a producing standpoint, talk a bit about how things are different working on a project when it lands on Disney Plus rather than alongside a theatrical release or Blu-ray, other medium, whatever it might be. So, like, for example, the team, you guys still landed on a short that's in that 6 to 7 minute time frame, but sometimes the constraints of those theatrical releases kind of create some borders that you can bounce between. But with Disney Plus, you guys had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a little more freedom as far as, which direction and how long and all those kind of things. But that's a long way of saying, how is this different than producing a short for a theater?
Yeah. I think when you're producing a short or making a short for a theatrical, there is a little bit more, we can take risks, I think, but generally it's original IP that we're creating for the theatrical short film. So a la Piper or Bow or, some untold story versus, hey, we're telling a story of something in between that you didn't see in a feature film. So we're working already with the property or a franchise that people know and love already. But I had been making, several shorts for the DVD market, which has been changing obviously lately, and more and more fans fewer fans are buying the DVDs and more are turning to Disney Plus, which is awesome. And we were, along with Forky, the first people to get to make something for Disney Plus, and actually. We love making these shorts. We love telling these stories, the in-between stories, and working with new filmmakers such as Val. And so Disney Plus gave us an awesome opportunity and platform, and were a great partner with us, and just being able to give us quite a lot of liberty and latitude to make something that we wanted to make. So the difference, of course, and sometimes when these is that we also know that people are going to, we make these for the Pixar fans a lot of times, that they're going to stop and rewatch this over and over again because it's on television versus sitting in a theater. So we might throw a few more Easter eggs in there or other goodies for people to chew on and enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, we spotted those Easter eggs.
Okay. So again, you guys are teeing us up for these questions perfectly. It's like this was planned.
Yeah.
So
this might have been the first film we made here where I'd be like, let's put that in there because all those people are going to notice it. Like that fraction of the audience who are super into Pixar are going to notice it.
Oh, we noticed it. The Good Dinosaur jammies. We noticed it.
Nice.
Oh, you got that one. Oh, that's good.
Poultry Palace was there.
Yeah, Poultry Palace. We saw Knick Knack.
Lucky Seven.
Yep.
Lucky Seven.
Rainbow Unicorn. Wow. So, what about Julie, you had another one you were going to ask about.
Oh, I know people are going to ask us and email us and tweet at us the pink Pixar lamp.
Oh, the Luxo lamp.
Yeah, yes, the pink Luxo lamp.
In the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one we didn't want to make it Andy's, so it couldn't be red. I think it ended up being pink, just all the roundabout we go through with lighting and design.
That's awesome. Are there any other really fun ones that you specifically wanted to have in there, either Marc or Val on that one?
With the props, it was amazingly fun to go. There's literally this huge back lot of props, like a catalog in the art department where I was like, printing it out, like circling things, like, let's go this. They're like, did you go shopping again? Yes, I did. Can we put this in there? Can we put that in there? And then it was funny because they would surprise me and plug things in. So I'm thinking that there's maybe even things in there that I have forgotten or don't know that are hidden. I mean, analyze every frame as much as possible. But
Red's Dream. That's
yes,
yeah.
The bike is in there.
That was awesome.
And then is the TV from Ratatouille?
Oh.
Ooh.
I don't know about that one, but it might be because there were definitely props. So there's props they pulled from other films in Toy Story 4. So then we had that to pull from. And there's also special props that they specifically made for the antique store, but didn't really get specifically highlighted. There was a toy spaceship. And so we pulled that and used it with the kids.
Yeah, that's the one that's on the table, like in their bedroom.
Yeah. And we put Barbie in a shot. Yeah, it was fun because each shot also needed to show not like time passing, but also sometimes time passing within the same day, and so it jumps a lot. I mean, you could probably sit and I had literally a spreadsheet that I gave the team where I was like, these are all the shots. This is the timeline. This is the season. This is the type of lighting.
Wow.
I noticed the seasons changing outside the girls' bedroom. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Julie, I applaud you and thank you because those are details that like our lighting designers who are like, Mark, there's more lighting setups in this 7-minute short than we had in all of Toy Story. Or there's like every shot is a new lighting setup, and I'm like, really? But it's core to the story, passage of time. So thank you for noticing.
Oh yeah, I have a whole passage of time paragraph in our review that comes up tomorrow.
Okay.
So you had mentioned the music a little bit earlier. So we had interviewed Jake Monaco, who obviously composed the music for Lamp Life, when he was coming out with information about Forky Asks a Question and how he worked with Bob Peterson, and we really enjoyed hearing his process of that. So with Lamp Life, we really enjoyed like this lightness that he created of the music and that overall feeling of the heartfelt moments with the fun moments. We thought it was great. So what was your experience working with Jake, and how did you guys get started in sharing, your vision of what you hope would translate musically into the film?
Yeah, so we had we initially worked with Barney's title. Barney's amazing.
Oh, Barney Jones.
He puts temporary music.
Yeah, he's our in-house music editor.
Yeah, and he's awesome because so we sort of like it was good to sort of figure it out and try things and styles of music as we were building the reel. And Barney was like great at helping me personally like learn how to talk about music and through me discussing the story and the feeling I want get better at that. And then so it was great. So by the time we started working with Jake, who Mark's worked with before a lot,
right.
He has like the best personality ever. He's so wonderful to work with. So that was instantly easy on that level, but it was great. So we had kind of an idea of what we're going for. And yeah, the melody he came up with, the theme throughout for Bo was so great right away. Like the scenes with the girls' room when they first go to the new home is so wonderful. And then it was just a matter of like, the challenge for him of having to literally do a different piece of music for almost every single shot throughout the middle, even in the antique store, because the music is also very telling of time passing and the seasons passing in the store. So even the music you hear playing in the record in the background in the store, he composed.
Oh, wow.
And someone sang, and so it's that layered with the number of pieces he came up with.
That's awesome. Did you guys go to the studio for the actual recording of the score?
We did. Yeah. We recorded in a small studio with about 5 musicians, including the singer for the background music in the antique mall.
Oh, wow.
And which is always a thrill. And in this case, rather than kind of a bigger scoring stage and multiple musicians, it was a drummer, a guitar player, and a keyboardist. And it was a keyboardist that I knew from a band that become friends with, and Jake, and that's just a blast and a thrill. And Jake Monaco is absolutely wonderful to work with.
Yeah,
it was really fun. I think having a smaller crew in general on every level making this was great because it just meant more actual time and interaction with everyone and getting to know everyone. And, especially when we're asking people to do these really hard things, like come up with so much music or, the lighters and our TD coming up, finding all these props, putting all these pieces together. Like it was really a lot a lot of work that had to be done for every single shot, every quick shot. And, but I think having that smaller team was great because we hang out more together. We trust each other. We get excited about making the same thing, and we're able to make something like this.
That's fantastic. Well, obviously, I want to be cognizant of our time. We've got so many more questions, but we obviously want to thank you, Marc and Valerie, for taking the time to chat with us, and we couldn't be more thrilled about your short film, Lamp Life, that's coming out tomorrow. The pacing is so perfectly balanced. It doesn't feel rushed or slow. We love that Bo's able to use the incorrect light bulb trick that she
Oh my gosh,
learned.
our son freaking loves that part.
Yeah. Yeah, we love that she got to,
awesome.
they in such a short time frame, she got to learn something, and then we saw how it was applied later. There's so much heart and passion and everything. So it's really masterful. We're excited that people are going to be able to start watching this tomorrow everywhere on Disney Plus.
And I was left wanting more, so that's always a good sign.
Oh, great.
I was like, no, don't end. No.
That's awesome.
So absolutely. Thank you both so much, and we really appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you for your time.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you.
both. You guys are
Really
wonderful.
fun.
Appreciate it.
All right, so that was the interview. Tons of fun. You can tell how much we gushed over
Oh my gosh, we could have
Valerie.
talked to them for hours, I think.
I mean, we say that with a lot of people.
We do because we
because we connect with it, we love it, and we love sharing and hearing the stories of the passion of them and their team that they put on the screen for others to enjoy. It's it's a journey that takes years for them. So for us to be able to talk with them for even 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, an hour, it means a lot to us. And we're always very excited to be able to share these kind of things. I know one of the things that you wanted to talk to out of the interview was about something we discussed there as well, which was the Easter eggs.
yes. I mean, I know I mentioned in the interview the Arlo jammies.
Yes, the Arlo pajamas on the child.
Yeah, I loved that.
1 minute and 6 seconds in.
Yes.
So it was baby Arlo and the Clawtooth Mountain pattern that were on the pajamas. There was a book next to Bo's lamp for Rainbow Unicorn from Inside Out. There's just so many in there. We still need to literally like frame by frame this to go through.
Oh,
it
I
all.
know. Well, and like she said in the interview, like how she basically like went shopping.
Right.
Like she had like the catalog and she was
Right.
going shopping.
Yeah. And
I'm like,
she's
I liked that. I
Yeah.
thought that was like really like what a fun thing to like say, and like like for us to even think about that, like, oh my gosh, that that costs money to put it all in there, and it's kind of cool.
It's very cool because it shows how much fun she was having with the project as well. That it wasn't something that was just a project that she was working on. This was
Well, remember
something she
she's
was learning from and then having fun with.
and she said this was the story she wanted to tell. It was
Right.
and I was like, wow, I was like, I felt that. Like what she said, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like she did a phenomenal job. Like I can't imagine, I wouldn't change anything about it. Like I don't have any questions about, oh, okay, that is where Bo was.
Correct.
Like there's no like holes in the story for me.
No.
And I like how she ended it. Like how she, she kind of said, oh, my sister's like, oh, or something like that, like kind of,
right.
built it up. And I mean, I know sometimes maybe I can get like that at sometimes when I'm telling you stories or something. But yeah, I like that she kind of ended it or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's perfect. I like literally this short Lamp Life made me like Bo, like really like Bo.
Right. Like, it enhanced her character.
Yeah. I mean, I always liked her, but this
it
like
enhanced
really
it.
made me like, wow.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. I think some of the other Easter eggs that really stood out for me, like you had written it down here at 3 minutes and 21 seconds, you can see the Chinese food takeout box that's in like everything now.
Yeah.
I think it was the first one, A Bug's Life,
I think so.
that they come out of, that they pop out of
Yeah.
when they're doing all their magic tricks and everything.
And the Poultry Palace.
The Poultry Palace, yeah, and the trash.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. The one that I like, though, and I don't think we mentioned this during the interview, was the
No, we
the
did the
same audio
from
as
Party
it-
Source Rex.
From Party Source Rex when it's son, squeak to me. Right
the
at the
submarine like foghorn.
yes, right at the very beginning of the short when they're playing in the bathtub
Right before
with Bonnie.
Rex becomes Godzilla, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah,
So cool.
that is so cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know that's just because they're reusing resources. It's not like, I don't know if she chose that one. I would presume it was whoever was doing the sound editing that was just like, bing, we got this already. We already got a foghorn. They're on a ship. It
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
But I thought that was really cool to, as soon as I heard it, it was literally like Party Source Rex.
Yeah. It was also fun to hear like the story artists that helped her like come up with some of the gags and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously anytime
Gosh,
you're going
that
to talk
story
about Jeff
department,
Pigeon.
man. Well, still Austin Madison, Kelsey Mann. Like she mentioned so many people
Right.
that are just like inherently funny, I think. Just like,
That's why they're in that group.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Is there anything else that we need to touch on for that?
No, I think
Outside of you better go see Lamp Life on Disney Plus if you haven't. And heck, if you already have, go check it out again because it's a ton of fun.
Oh, I know. I've been telling all these moms that I'm walking to school with when I take Leo, I'm like, have you seen Lamp Life? I know you have Disney Plus.
And if they don't, you're pitching it to them.
I am.
So, all right. Well, that about wraps up this episode of the Pixar Post Podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Lastly, if you like today's show, let us know. Rate us on Apple Podcasts, leave a comment on our site, or send us an email at info@pixarpost.com. Signing off as usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to pixarpost.com all week for the latest Pixar news. Bye-bye.